I've no expertise in this, I've no real knowledge of it. How much can the Blavor PN W09 charge via solar? And I'm making this figure up, but I reckon it could charge up to 2000 milliamperes in perfect conditions. You know, if you had the sun all day, and that's in a day I'm talking about. For me, on a windowsill, not an ideal situation, either the windowsill or the weather, but in July I got between 450 to 720 milliamperes. I think one time I got about 800 milliamperes in a day, but there's even a lot I could do from how it's hanging on the windowsill to improve that. So I reckon I could get 1000 milliamperes from a windowsill if I get everything set up perfect, maybe a bit more. And I think my estimate is you could say if you had it outdoors in the Arizona desert or something on the longest day, you could maybe get up to 2000 milliamperes, maybe even a bit more. But I would say there's probably no chance of getting over 3000 milliamperes. It just hasn't got the technical ability, and I'm guessing that's true for all the current solar panels of this quality. It's the size, I suppose, that's holding them back at the moment. I'm talking about having all 5 panels in, and I was charging up the power bank via the sun, and then I was using the power bank to charge up my phone, and that's how I got my estimations, or what I got as my figures. Here's my figures, milliamperes. I tried for a few days in July, reasonable weather I think. Of course the weather's a big thing, mate. I mean, as long as if it's sunny you're getting the full a lot, but even in cloudy you can do alright, but it's when you get those dark clouds or really overcast it really dips. But I get 450 milliamperes, 411, 600. This is when I started improving the position, like I was raising it a bit higher in the windowsill so that there was no edge, there was no shade from the edge of the windowsill. And you can do all sorts of things like that. If there's any curtain in the way, or you know, net curtain or whatever, or all these sort of things. I would do more if my window didn't look so that it wasn't public facing, you know, because I would probably just hang the actual thing on a hook or something, so that the whole thing was facing all the time. But I wouldn't do that in a public facing window. So I get 600, 720, 680, 600. I think I get 800 one time. I think that's the most I've got from solar. And like I say, it was a bad windowsill. I would give it 5 out of 10 for ideal conditions of my windowsill, because it doesn't get the sun all day. It's in the shade a lot. It gets the sun sort of later during the day, and there was no way was it even perfect, the windowsill, and that's not taking into account the sunshine either. So I'm just a member of the public, I've no expertise, but I do reckon that you could probably get 1000 on a windowsill if you've got the right conditions. And maybe if you were using it for camping, the sun all day every moment, or you had it outdoors and it was getting sun in, you could get 2000 milliamperes. Possibly you could get 3000 milliamperes, I'm just absolutely guessing, but that would be absolutely perfect conditions, and I don't think it's really realistic for most of us. At first I was using this to calculate how much milliamperes I was getting. I've got another one that saves your milliampere total. This one doesn't, but I've got another one. So at first I was using that, but then I just started using my mobile phone and checking the charge and checking the difference. So that's why these estimates are so perfect, because I was estimating from my mobile phone. Am I disappointed? I mean, it's a 20,000 milliampere power bank it's sold as. Well, yes, but then when I read more about it, I just don't think the technical ability is there yet. I suppose the only thing I'm disappointed in is they didn't say this in their Amazon page, you know, or when it tells you about it. It's only when you're in the instruction manual, there's a page like it says something like the solar, keep in mind it's just for supplementary, a sort of top up. So there it's sort of hinting that you're not going to get anywhere near 20,000 milliamp hours. But I think at the moment from panels like this, it's just unrealistic anyway. So to get a thousand is pretty good. To get 2,000 would be very good. And then if you did get 3,000, I think that's unrealistic. I'm just saying that as my unrealistic maximum. You know, that would be outstanding probably from little panels like this, but you're not going to get anywhere near 20,000 milliamp hours. But also keep in mind that power banks usually only give you about 55% of whatever their output is meant to be. So this one here is one that you plug in and it's 2,200 milliamp hours. But when I charge up my phone with it, I only get about 1,100 milliamp hours. So whatever your normal DC electric mains power bank says, you're probably only getting about 50% of that in truth, because when you charge it up, it doesn't fully charge. It only charges up about 85%, say 90%, and then when you actually use it, say in your mobile phone, it'll only charge you it'll only use about 55%, and then it'll cut out. Probably it just can't keep the 5 volts or even down to 4 volts, and it just cuts out. So with all these power banks, the normal ones that you plug into the mains, you're probably only getting half. So if you think that that's, say I'm getting 1,000 of that in solar, that is 1,000 milliamp hours of pure power, and it's probably the same as me with this, 2,200. So with this, if I'm out and about with this, I think I'm getting 2,200 milliamp hours, but I'm not really. I'm only getting maybe 55% of that. Whereas if this solar gives me 1,000 milliamp hours, it's genuinely giving me 1,000. So if it gives me 1,000, then it's the same as a 2,000 DC power bank that you plug into the mains. I don't know if that percentage loss is to do with quality. You know, I don't know if better ones don't lose as much or give you more percent output, you know, maybe 60% or 65%. But I was only getting about 55% with this one. And even this, when I was using it, when I was plugging it to the mains, I was only getting about 10,000 milliamp hours, 11,000 milliamp hours, so that's about 50-60%, and that's when I'm charging it up with the mains. So even though it's 20,000 milliamp hours, it says it is, you're only getting about 55% of that in reality, and that seems to be sort of normal for power banks. The government should really tell them you've got to give you an honest rating of your power banks, really. You know, you can give your title, whatever your title output is, but underneath it you've also got to give your realistic output. If the government forced them to do something like that, you know, we all wouldn't be going about with ones that we can only do half what we think they can do. I think somebody else made a video of this. It looked to me like they were in a very sunny area of America, maybe the southwest or something. And I think it took him about 28 days to charge it up from his windowsill. So if you remember, your windowsill isn't totally ideal, you know, unless it's not getting shade at all. I mean, you've got two problems. You've got how the light's hitting the windowsill where you've got it, and then you've also got the weather as well, if it's cloudy or sunny. But having this for a month, I've managed to charge it up halfway, but I don't know if that means I've charged it up to 10,000 milliamp hours, or using the 50% rule, it's only 5,000 it's charged up. It's probably 5,000, but the point I would make about that is, if you do have one of these and you stop using it for whatever reason, you could just leave it in a windowsill and it'll charge up. Then someday you'll want it, and there'll be a bit of charge in it. So I'm saying technical capability isn't there yet. Well, not for the ones advertised, but they're getting pretty good. I mean, 1000 milliamp hours, and I think it came out at 2 amps as well, so 5 volts, 2 amps, 10 watts, which this can do. So I don't think it's a bad product. I just don't think the technical capability, the technology is there yet, but it's getting very close, and it's useful already. You can detach these. It's a magnet strip. That's very useful, although with one you would hardly get any. I think you would hardly get any solar charge at all. You know, even with 5 I'm struggling a bit. It doesn't take much light to get the solar thing going, but I think the current will be almost minimal. It'll be like 10 milliamps. You know, for a phone you need really 1 amp at least. You want even more than that, but 1 amp. Could probably work in 500 milliamps, but even though this is going, it's probably just 10 milliamp or 20 milliamp. It's tiny, so you can't really tell much by this dial. You really need to know the figures, like something like this. I'm guessing long term they'll put these sort of things within the power banks. It's pretty heavy as well, you know, with the power bank and that. So, I mean, if you were hiking or something, it's heavy, but like I say, you are getting maybe 1,000, 2,000 milliamp hours out of it. These bits aren't really heavy, but it's that. And personally, I think 20,000 milliamp hours is really too much anyway, because of the weight. I mean, I would probably go for 10,000 now, but then that would mean I would, in reality, be getting a 5,000 milliamp hour power bank. So you've got to weigh up these sort of things, but yeah, to me it's too heavy for, that's just my opinion. And I don't really know why somebody would want 20,000 milliamp hours at the moment, because of the weight. Now I've been trying the solar panels. These ones look a bit bigger, and I'll do a review on this later, but I like the idea. But I think the problem is, with this, you've got to rely on your device to stabilise the voltage, because you can get 5 volts max out of it, so it's set for 5 volts, but I hardly ever get 5 volts from the sun. It's got 5 panels. I can get 5 volts, I can even get 6.5 volts, but I don't really want that. I want 5 volts. But it's always moving about the voltage, you know. Direct current's maybe straight, but with this it's going like that. And then something like your mobile phone might not be able to handle that, you know. Your mobile phone's designed for 5 volts direct current. You're almost getting alternating current from that. Whereas this is one advantage with this. One advantage is that power bank, the circuitry is set for unstable voltages between 5 volts and lower. You know, if the voltage in this is wandering all over the place, it's probably got circuitry in it to still make use and to stabilise that. Whereas if I use a power bank with this, it can be all over the place. In fact, I've not even managed to charge a power bank with this. From a windowsill anyway, my bad windowsill, that I would give about 5 out of 10 for placement and other obstacles. I've not managed to charge a power bank. The only thing I've managed to charge is earbuds, and I would only try cheap earbuds with that, because I'm worried in case the unstable 5 volt sort of does something to my earbuds. And the other thing I charged was a bike light, really tiny things that need really small currents. So that's got the advantage. It's the power bank gets circuitry probably to deal with fluctuating 5 volt lines that go from 5 volts to 0. This, I'm not getting any power at the moment. I have to use this to know what's going on with this one. Artificial light, I find you get hardly any solar charge at all from artificial light. I'm not getting anything here, not even 5 volts. So again, for the ordinary public, This was only about £14–15, but it looks like the technology just isn't there yet. The panel is a bit bigger, which is good. I prefer this a lot because it's really light, you know, and I can just add any power bank I want. But at the moment I've not managed to actually do what I wanted to do. So to me it feels like for the ordinary public the technology just isn't there, but it's still worth buying in my opinion, because you might have better light conditions than me, or somebody might know something I don't, that means that you can get what you want out of this, because you only really want to charge small devices with it, like your phone and stuff. There's just a bad chart to show you. Like when you plug in the power bank, you're getting 5 volts direct current. 5 volts all the time. The muscle is always the same. I think of voltage as a muscle. So the person's at 5 volts and they're holding up a 1 amp barbell and they're doing it flawlessly all the time. But when you've got solar, it's all over the place all the time, 24 hours. It's changing every millisecond. So you've got somebody lifting a barbell, try to do 1 amp, but they're down at 0.1 amp, or they're going all over the place, because their muscle is changing from 5 volts to 4.5, 3.5, they're all over the place, depending on the sun and stuff. So a lot of things, a lot of devices aren't, that's almost alternating current in a way, because it's all over the place. So a lot of devices aren't thinking for that. They're usually, phones and stuff are programmed for direct current. At the moment 5 volts, it's improving over time, you may get something at 10 volts now, but 5 volts is the default. So that's the problem solar has, it's all over the place. I can even get 6.5 with my solar panel, this one here, this thing here, which I don't really want, because you just want 6, you just want 5. I was just looking at instructions, but I can't see that solar thing. I was telling you that it says only think of the solar power as a supplementary thing, i.e. it was implying that you'll not get anywhere near 20,000 amps from the solar. Well, not in one day, like maybe 28 days or something, or even less than that, maybe, I don't know, perfect conditions, 14 days, I don't know. But I can't see it here now. Maybe it was on their website in the small print. But for me anyway, I was disappointed when I first found out, but then when I read about solar chargers and power banks, overall, I came to the conclusion, well, for one thing, they all lie about how much their power bank can charge. This says it's 20,000 milliamperes, but they all only give about 50 or 60% of an output really. So this, when I tried it, it was between 9,500 and 11,000 milliamperes I was getting, and that's not to do with solar, that's just charging it up and then using it on my mobile phone. But then with a mobile phone, I mean, my phone is 4,000 milliamperes battery. The new iPhone is 3,300. So if you were using it when you're hiking and you could get 1,000 out of this, that would charge your iPhone up nearly a third. If I'm right, that an iPhone new battery is 3,300, you know, which sounds tiny to me, but maybe that's why they're so slim and stuff. I prefer having a big battery in my mobile phone, but yeah, so once I read about it, I don't think I've been conned, apart from they all con you. This one's conning me, it's telling me it's 2,200, but it's really, I'll only get about 1,100 out of it. So they're all conning me in that aspect. If they gave an estimate of their realistic rating, that would help. So the government should get on to them about that. You know, they can do their headline rating, which the battery's sort of meant to be capable of, but realistically you only usually get 50%, 60% of that. So I'm not disappointed in that. And then when I found out about the solar, I was only getting 400, I think one day I get 800. Like I say, it's not a perfect window though, it's a bad window. A lot of the day it's not in sunshine, or and the window's got obstacles like a sill like that. So I would give it 5 out of 10 for the condition it's in. So that's not too bad. That's on a sunny day as well, you know. When it's overcast with dark clouds, it won't work at all probably. Here just now it's not working, you know. It doesn't help, I'll get that over it. But now that I know that I've got my expectations in, I don't think it's a bad product. I don't think it's worth it. I wouldn't buy it again, not at that price. You know, what was it, £50 or something? Even though it's a good power bank, it comes out at 2 amps, which is good. I would just buy one of these now and experiment with these, you know, like, because you're only spending £14 or something, if you're lucky, maybe a bit dearer. I'm not sure if they have problems getting solar just now, which maybe is artificially keeping prices up. It might even drop more, but once these can do what they're advertised as doing, these will be fantastic. Probably, I've never tried this out in the sunshine, outdoors, so it probably could hold, you know, 5 volts and all that, but when I've tried it indoors, I can get 6.5 volts on a sunny day, but when I put a load on it, I'm only getting about 150 milliamps, 150 milliamps, which is pretty tiny, and I've only charged up cheap earbuds or a bike light. I couldn't charge my mobile phone or anything like that, or even a power bank, but maybe outdoors I possibly could. So I recommend one of these if you've, because they don't have these on them yet. So that's my thought on that. I don't think it's a bad product, but I probably wouldn't buy it again, because I think 20,000 is too much anyway, too heavy at the moment. It's got a hanger here, so you could hang it on a window, you know. Yeah, it's got a hanger, so that's meant to put on your backpack, you know, so you're going to build out your backpack. But it's so heavy, I wouldn't take it anyway, but that's how you're meant to. You probably would get a lot of sun that way, don't know, but I would hang that in my window, you know, like get a hook or something, a sticky hook or a vacuum hook, and try that way. But I'm not doing that here because my window's too public. You know, they might think I've got a camera up or something, you know. So it's not a bad product, but I probably wouldn't buy it again. I would stick to these, and I would keep looking out to see as they improve. So I think this said it was 20 watts, but I don't really see how I can get that, you know. 640 grams, 263 grams. Doesn't feel like it. This feels a lot lighter, but there you go. 407 grams without the other solar panels. There's the other 231 grams. I've not said anything about the wireless charging because I don't have a wireless charging phone. I think that's a wireless charger. And there's the light, torch light. Hold that down.